Right, let's bring you to this conversation now. As South Africa wraps up the 16 days of activism for No Violence Against Women and Children campaign, tomorrow we look at the strides that this campaign has made to highlight these challenges during this campaign. The issues of funding has come into the spotlight as one of the biggest challenges in dealing with GBV and helping victims of gender-based violence. In June 2020, President Cyril Ramaphosa declared male violence against women a second pandemic in South Africa, adding that one woman is killed every 3 hours in the country. Craig Wilkinson, director of at Father and Nation, joins me now in studio to discuss more. Craig, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Well, of course, we see the shocking statistics of GBV. I mean, just also naming it another sort of pandemic. Right. Just bears to mind just what a crisis we are in and how serious it is in the country. So just talk to me about your role. So you've been hosting, I know, providing GBV workshops around the country or in certain provinces, and training and cultivating young minds about positive masculinity, which is an important thing to do. Just talk to us about, firstly, your target audience, what are the provinces that you go to, and also to what extent will inculcating this positive masculinity, go in terms of ending or at least curbing GBV and femicide in this country?
Well, absolutely, that's the solution. There's a lot of work being done creating awareness about GBV, but not much work being done about asking the question, why is it happening? Because no boy is born an abuser. No boy comes into this world wired to abuse, to be a misogynist, racist, any of those things. Something goes wrong on the journey from boy to man. And if we can heal that and restore men and encourage them and teach them and inspire them to be good men, good mentors, fathers, role models, who live with positive masculinity, which is always a safe space, we can absolutely get to the root of the problem and stop it before it happens. There's a lot of work, brilliant work being done around helping victims, but ultimately we don't want victims. And so we focus very much on saying, no man is designed to be an abuser. So how do we encourage them, heal them, restore them, and inspire them and teach them how to be good men so that there is no abuse in the first place?
So, I mean, you've started an organization, Father and Nation. Right. Just talk to us about how it came to bear, because I mean, a lot of South Africans that you speak to, men, women, they have somehow been at the receiving end of GBV or at the other end of GBV.
Yes. Well, it is a national crisis, and if you look at the history of our country, in some ways it's no surprise. Brokenness and woundedness is intergenerational. Families get broken up, there's a lack of fathers. I always say single moms are heroes in this country, heroes. But the one thing a mom cannot do is teach a boy how to be a man. Just like I, as a father, cannot teach my daughter how to be a woman. And that's how we need both men and women in society, whether or not it's a biological father or a biological mother, but older men and older women teaching younger boys and young girls how to be good men and women. And I think that's what we really need to focus on. There's tremendous woundedness in this nation as a result of our really broken past, and we need to focus on healing and restoring that. And I think a lot of the work being done is not dealing with the root cause. It's not dealing with the root issue. We can up the level of law enforcement and stuff, and we have to do that. There must be consequences, but that alone is not going to fix the underlying problem. Even in our police force and law enforcement agencies, you have men who are abusive. Those men themselves are broken with a false concept of what it means to be a man, with the wrong concept of the value of a woman as an equal co-creator. And unless we fix that, we're not going to change this.
I like the word that you use, equality, because I think that is essential as we start to look at the language that we use when we're speaking about men and women. Right. I mean, you said you can't teach a girl how to be a woman. How about teaching a child how to be humane, how to embrace humanity? Some of the words that we use, even our leaders use, would be to protect women. Women don't need protection. They don't need to be harmed.
Well, 100%.
So to what extent is language important, particularly when you speak to boy children, in terms of seeing a girl child as an equal and not harming them because you think that they are weaker than the boy.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think the bottom line of the world today needs to focus on humanity. We're so polarized, Religion, race, gender, etc., ethnicity become more important than our humanity. And when we do that, we dehumanize each other, When I look at you as a human being, first and foremost, before you're a woman, before anything else, we're then on equal footing, and my respect for you and my value of you as a fellow human being and your identity before a woman is human, and mine, and in that we have equal value, 100%. If we get that right, we're 90% towards the challenge. I think the other thing, though, is we do need to realize that men and women have differences, and they're different drivers. They're different drivers of men and women, and we need to nurture those. But at the same time, focus on the fact that more important than the male or female is humanity, and there's an equality, and there's an equality of opportunity, an equality of value, an equality of rights, and if we get that right, you see, brokenness, masculine brokenness, is a major factor in gender-based violence. A wounded man behaves differently to a wounded woman. Wounded woman generally, when women abuse, it's generally with the tongue. When men abuse, it's more damaging. It's with the fist, and it's sexually and physically, because of the innate aggression. And so we need to recognize that and heal it and harness positive masculinity. You're right, women shouldn't need to be protected because good men would never ever harm a woman. Bottom line. And that's what we teach positive masculinity.
You also mentioned, of course, that we don't see the level of consequences against perpetrators that we should be seeing in this country. Of course, we don't also have a lot of successful convictions that we can speak of. How does that then, make your work even that much more harder? Because you're speaking to young boys that may or may not have, committed a crime, who see, the fact that you can actually get away with it in South Africa because the numbers don't lie. The numbers are extremely high, and it's mostly men who are perpetrating these crimes, as you've also just pointed out. So where does that then end in terms of, or make your work even harder in terms of not seeing those consequences? Yeah.
Look, as our president said, this is a human rights issue, isn't it? And you need to fix the human being. So consequences, you're right. That's a legal issue. It's a prosecutional issue. It's a law enforcement issue. We as an organization cannot have much influence on that. But I find with boys, very few boys want to be bad men, but they model themselves on what they see. And so we need to restore good, positive, healthy, strong male role models who use their power only to serve. Unfortunately, we see in South Africa, in government, even in churches, the story in the post office of Unene. There was a government employee, in a place of, who was absolutely broken and who killed another human being. So we see it at all levels of society, in homes, broken men, aggressive men using their power for bad and for harm. Power is given for one reason alone, and that's to serve. Political power to serve, economic power to serve, physical strength as a man to love and to serve. And I find when we call out the champion in boys and we say, young man, you are designed to be a hero. You're designed to be. In your DNA is a rich heritage of heroism. Do you want to be that man, or do you choose to be a man who's a curse to the world? You can be a blessing or a curse. And we find that inspires young men to want to be good men because they haven't had that preached to them. We've had this thing, toxic masculinity, men are trash. And a young boy growing up with that understanding of masculinity is far more likely to turn out to be trash. But if you tell that young man, you know what, you are designed to be a hero. Let me show you how to be a hero. He'll then want to use his strength for good. He'll then want to serve and to love. And so that's the solution.
I certainly hope so. So when someone is sitting at home, whether it's a father or a young boy who wants to be mentored or be part of this program, how do you reach out to them? Because a lot of the times you find that there are present fathers, but they may not be reinforcing these messages that you are speaking of today.
Well, as I said, wounded men become men who wound. And a man who's raised without a father, or an abusive father, or a father who's modeling the wrong things, generally takes his cue from that man. So we have free courses online. If you go to www.fatheranation.co.za, there's free courses. There's a free course on positive masculinity and a free online course also on gender-based violence, understanding what it is. Often we think of it in purely sexual or physical terms, but it's economic, it's structural. As a woman, we talk about giving women a seat at the table, but what about a voice at the table? So there are many elements of gender-based violence. So we have a free course understanding it, the journey from boy to man, what goes wrong, and the actions that we as men need to take, and also what women can do to add their power. So those free online resources are available, but by all means reach out to us and we'll see if we have someone in the area that can assist.
Or how to create your own table.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. I like that. Yeah.
All right, Craig, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
We really do appreciate it, and good work that you are currently doing. All right, that was Craig Wilkinson, Director at Father a Nation.